G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Trewin. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome everyone. Today I'm interviewing Jyotsna Ramachandran from Happy Self-Publishing based in Chennai, India. Thanks for your time today, JR.
Hi, Troy. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Let's start with how we know each other. Keena on your team reached out, thought you'd be a great guest.
Yes, she's really good at researching the good podcasts which are relevant to my industry. And she asks me if I want to get connected. And I saw all the good stuff that you guys do. And that's how we got connected.
Yeah, thanks. And you're a seasoned podcast guest as well. You've been on quite a few, which is good to hear.
Yes.
Tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
So I have a book publishing agency called Happy Self-Publishing. I've been running it for almost 9 years now. So what we do is we help authors who are at different stages of their book publishing journey, and we help them to write, publish, and market their books. So we help them to self-publish. So they just pay us for the services we provide. It's a one-time payment, and that's how we make the money. And they get to keep all the rights and royalties of their book once it gets published.
Great. And this isn't like ghostwriting for Amazon books, or is it, the bigger, because I've heard, I actually had a guest on from Fiction Profits Academy. I'm not sure if you're aware of them, that they help people write the smaller books, which sell for $1 or $2 or something. But do you do mainly focus on the bigger books?
Yeah, we focus on helping experts in different fields. So for them, the book is an extension of their business and the book itself is not their business. So they want to get more speaking opportunities in their industry. They want to position themselves as the go-to expert, which is why they write a book or they take our help to write the book. So they don't publish like 2 books every month. That's not their business model. They probably write 1 book every 5 years. And that's why the book is pretty substantial. It will be more than 30,000 words. It will be more than 200 pages, and mostly in the nonfiction genres.
Yeah, I hear it's quite painful writing a book. I've been urged to write one more than once, and I've at the moment saying no. I don't want to. I'm not a masochist. I don't want to put myself through that. But is that what you hear from the people that come to you? They've tried, and that's why they need help.
Yeah, most of them need help because we don't typically help writers. So writers love writing and they also become authors. However, our clients are not the typical writers. They are experts and they want to write a book. They have the intention to become an author, but they are not trained writers. So some of them enjoy writing. And in that case, we tell them to write the book first and then come back to us only for the publishing and marketing support. But the others who find it painful to write either use our book coach to guide them and support them and hold them accountable, or they just go ahead by working with our angel writers who interview them and convert the author's knowledge into a book.
Great. I might be looking you up in a couple of years by the sounds of it. And how did you start out?
Well, I started out with the other model that you are actually mentioning. I became a mom 10 years ago, which is when I was already running another business, and I was finding it very difficult to continue in that business in my new lifestyle as a mom. So I wanted to completely run an online business, which would give me the freedom of time. And that is when I started doing Google search on how do you make money online. And a lot of blog posts and podcasts were showing up on this topic of Kindle publishing on Amazon. So when I was looking at these blog posts, so I started working with coaches and mentors in Canada and other countries where they were teaching people, how do you find profitable niches? How do you get your book quickly ghostwritten by freelance writers? And how do you put them up on Amazon every week? And how do you make money as a result of the royalties? So that was my initial business model. And it was pretty successful because it helped me shut down my previous staff recruitment business and solely focus on this new online business that I discovered. And after about 6 months, I kind of got the confidence to write my own book because people started asking me, how was I making money online? So it kind of nudged me to write and just try and see if I could write. And I ended up writing a book called Job Escape Plan. While I was writing that book, I felt more fulfilled than putting out all these ghostwritten books, which I had no idea what they were about. I was just finding these topics and getting them written, right? So after Job Escape Plan was published, that is when I started going on podcast interviews. And as a result of that visibility, real authors started reaching out to me asking if I could help them publish their books as well. And I felt that felt more authentic to me, more real, because I knew that I was helping people with real messages who wanted to put their books out there, but they did not have the support. Whereas I, by that time, had access to great cover designers, great editors, formatters. So I put them together as a team and have started Happy Self Publishing.
And so what year did you start that business and how old were you?
It was in 2015.
And how old were you 9 years ago then?
So now I'm 38, so I must have been
29.
29.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. And do you have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business over those 9 years?
Yeah, so I started out making about $3,000 or $4,000 a month. Now there are months where we make 10x that. So I wouldn't say that we've grown exponentially like the businesses that have the funding and the mindset to grow to that level. For me, this is more like a lifestyle business that supports my lifestyle. Now I have 2 kids and I also help my husband in his business. So it's growing at a slow pace, but I'm happy with the growth over the last 9 years.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about number of full-time equivalent team members? So you started on your own. What are you up to now?
Yeah, so when I started on my own, I had a couple of VAs who would help me with the basic things that I needed help with. But now I have a team of 8 people who are full-time with me. Like they don't work anywhere else. They work only with me full-time. And I also have about another 15 people who work on a contract basis. So what they do is they could be editors, cover designers, they could be illustrators. So I don't need illustrators every month, but there could be a children's book once every 3 months. And at that point, I would probably need an illustrator to work with me for 2 months. So I work with them on a contract basis.
Okay. And so that would compress down to about 15 or 16 full-time equivalents?
Yeah,
Yep.
you could say that. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And out of interest, what about number of books that you're publishing a year, where you started to where you're at now?
So this is a strange thing. So when we started, we were actually doing a lot of books because we were doing smaller services for these authors. An author would come just for the cover design. And back then we would just charge $100 for a cover. Now we charge $900 and our quality has also significantly increased. So back then we were only doing the smaller services like just the formatting or just the distribution on Amazon. And that is why every month we would do about 15 to 20 clients. Now we probably take less than 5 new clients every month.
Yep.
But we do end-to-end everything. So people come to us right at the beginning sometimes with just the idea, and we help them to develop the book's topic, create the outline, help them through the whole writing process, and all of the things that come under the publishing umbrella, and also the marketing. So clients stay with us for about 6 months, and that's why we do a fewer clients these days.
And I'm guessing you also convert it to audiobooks now, which are getting more and more popular.
Absolutely. I heard that audiobooks are going to be the main thing in the next 5, 6 years. A lot of authors are not aware of this. So we educate them about the importance of having the book also as an audiobook. And we make sure that they have the book published in all the 4 formats, the ebook, the paperback, hardcover, and the audiobook. Some of them choose to narrate the book on their own, but some of them don't have the time or the bandwidth to do it. And we help them with narrators too.
Great. And you do obviously all the editing and get it onto the platforms as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have audio editors, producers to do the final cut, and we then put it up on platforms like Audible.
Yep. And I noticed earlier this year, I just saw it in my Spotify player. Hadn't seen an article about it, but they launched audiobooks at the start of this year. What have you seen? Has that changed the landscape much, their push into audiobooks?
Yeah, this is a clear indication, like Spotify also focusing on audiobooks. So it's good that we don't have to be dependent on Amazon for everything, because so far Audible has been the market leader. And when we solely go with Audible, we get 40% of the royalties, whereas when you distribute on other platforms also like Spotify, you only get 15%, which is why authors choose to remain exclusive with Audible. But if the sales are going to be as good as Audible on other platforms, they don't have to have that exclusive agreement with Audible. So things will change in the next year or two.
Sorry, do you mean that Apple or Audible gets 40% or the author gets 40%?
Author gets 40% and
Oh my God.
Audible gets 60%. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's even more brutal on Spotify, 15% to the author and 85 to Spotify.
Ah, okay.
Is
So
that
it's
is that
I
right? Or
haven't we haven't started publishing on Spotify yet.
okay. Yep. Got it. Got it. When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
Actually, I have felt that very early on in my business. It was when I convinced my husband to quit his job and follow his passion and start his relationship healing practice. So he used to work with a coffee shop chain similar to Starbucks in India. And he was happy in his job. There was nothing wrong with his job, but that was not his divine gift, like he had other interests too. So on his weekly offs, he would go learn different healing modalities because he felt deeply connected and there was a calling for him to practice that. And he was doing it for free for his friends and family. And I knew that that is his bigger, higher purpose. But because of this need to be the breadwinner, he stuck to his day job. But the moment my business started doing well, which was like 6 months when I was into book publishing, I told him that, see, even if your healing practice doesn't make any money, we can still manage with this little newborn.
Mhm.
So I think that was my first ever feeling of success where I was able to help him follow his passion.
Oh, that's great. Well done. What does success look like to you?
So for me, success means, again, it's a great question because it means very different things to different people. So for me, when I'm able to balance all the different areas of my life, my health is at its peak. I'm able to generate enough money to support the desired lifestyle I have. When I have great connection with my family and friends, when I'm able to travel, when I'm able to take a day off whenever I want to, when I have all these different areas of my life balanced, I feel extremely successful.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
Number one thing to marketing a fast growing business. So first of all, I have never run a fast growing business. It's a slow growing one, but I think going on podcasts is an amazing way to grow your business. It's not something that gives instant results like a Facebook ad, but it creates some great relationships which pays off over time.
Yeah, I was saying before we hit record, there's 6 times more content consumed on podcasts at the moment as there is on audiobooks, and which themselves are growing quite rapidly. So it's an underrepresented medium at the moment. There's only a bit over 3 million podcasts. About 400,000 of those are active, regularly publishing. So it's a good marketing method for small businesses to consider.
Sure.
How did you fund your business?
So again, because I was not looking at growing very fast, I never thought of taking any loans or reaching out to any investors. It has always been a portion of my profits going back into my business. That's how we've grown all this while.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
To the same industry, absolutely, yeah. I feel I'm happy with the way my services business is growing, but I regret that I stopped doing products. Like initially, I started out by putting out books, right? So I had some 50 titles. The reason I stopped that was I was not happy with the quality of books I published, whereas the quality of books that I was helping my clients publish were far better because they were real stories, authentic information. So now, if I probably go back or if I get a lot of funding, I would invest in publishing high quality books under our own imprint so that that can be another stream of income and which is quite passive too. So I would focus on that.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
Oh, the most stressful point is when I hired people when I did not really need them and I had to pay salaries without planning for them. So a lot of people told me that, hey, are you the one who's doing sales calls even now? Even after 5 years of having your business, you should immediately have salespeople. So that's not a bad advice, but I did not have a proper marketing system in place to generate the leads in the pipeline so that these people could speak to them and convert. So because there was one thing that was still not ready in my business, the marketing engine. Before that, I hired all these salespeople. I think that was a big mistake, and I hate letting people go. So I had some of them for about 6 months, and then I realized it's a mistake. My business is not so big that I don't have the time to do the calls myself. So maybe I should have not just listened to some advice which worked for somebody else without understanding if it would work for me yet.
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
I think training my team members. Today, I'm really proud of the level of excellence they've achieved, but it didn't happen overnight. And all the time that has been spent in training them, not just in their skills, but the way they interact with our clients, the way we have built a culture where they all love each other. So all that has taken time, and I think that is the biggest, most valuable thing that I've built in the business.
What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth or slow growth, as you say?
I would say because I am in India and most of my clients are in the US and other countries like Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. It's the time zone difference that I hate.
Yep.
So I think between us, it's great because it's afternoon for you and morning for me. But when it's past midnight for me, I hate those kind of calls. So I used to do them until 2 years ago. But then once it started taking toll on my sleeping pattern, I decided it's not worth it. And I have now a couple of my team members living in the US. So they take those nighttime calls for me. And I only stick to my daytime calls.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
Well, I think it's the kind of attention that I'm able to give to my clients and the kind of connection I have with each of my team members. If maybe I had 200 people in my team and I had 1,000 clients, I mean, that would be a different level of fun altogether, but I would not have the kind of interpersonal connection that I have with my clients and my team members that I have now.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Yeah, I think one thing that I'm still working on is to not think that my business is a small business because till the time that we think it's a small business, it's going to remain a small business. And there's nothing wrong in that if it's a very conscious decision. But if your goals are big and you think that you are running a small business, then there is a mismatch there. So a business is small only if the entrepreneur's mindset is small. The minute you shift that, it's going to grow to the next level. So I am constantly working on that. So that's one thing I would say is really important.
The number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
Yeah. So a lot of small business owners like me work from their home. So this is my home office. It's just right. My home is right next door. So I think the one habit is to set clear boundaries so that your family knows that you're working and you're not watching something on Netflix. So unless we have those clear boundaries, you'll feel that you're not working and you'll also feel guilty that you're not spending time with your family. But once we have those clear times and schedule set, then I think it's going to benefit both the work as well as your home life.
Are one or more of these growth pillars standing in the way of you living the lifestyle you've signed up for? People, strategy, marketing, funding, or systems? We have a free ebook filled with actions and templates on each of these growth pillars. Download for free from our website, growasmallbusiness.com.
Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
Most of the people whom I've added to my team have worked with me as a freelancer or as a part-timer before I had them into my team as a full-time employee. And I feel that's really important because you can easily judge somebody's skill by giving them a task, but it takes a while to understand their personality and to see if they would add value to your company's culture, whether they would gel with the rest of the team. So I think just giving them smaller projects, having them not on your role, but working with them for a shorter duration of time before hiring them full time has helped me so far.
What are some of the things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
Yes. So in the past, since we were an online business, we used to mostly communicate through emails and very non-personal way of communication. But after having tools like Slack and Zoom in place, we have a lot of daily communication and touch points, which is very important. And we also look at each other face to face on Zoom calls. So we have weekly meetings to discuss the project. So that's the operations meeting. And then we have a marketing meeting. And on Wednesdays, we have a team training. And that is when people feel that they are upskilling themselves within the company, and that is great. And we also have a fun channel on Slack where people post updates from their life. It's like our social media, but within the company. So I think these are some small things that especially online businesses can do when they are not meeting each other in person, to have that company's culture going. And the other thing is, there are sometimes, though we all know that this is how we are all supposed to conduct ourselves, there are times where, let's say, one team member blames the other team member for not reaching a particular target or not sticking to the timeline. So that is clearly not a part of our culture. So instead of reprimanding them or scolding them, we would tell them, hey, this is not the HSP way. HSP is happy self-publishing.
Yep.
So they would immediately understand, oh my God, and they would course correct themselves. So making sure that everybody is following the HSP way is also important. So we just support each other in doing that.
Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
Yeah. For me, as I told, success is all about having that balance in all the areas of life. So I, first of all, make sure that when I'm setting goals in the beginning of the year, I ensure that I set goals in all areas of my life, first of all. So it's not just the business goals, but what am I doing in terms of contribution? What am I doing in terms of fun, in terms of my personal growth? So once I set goals in all these areas of life, it's easy for me to put these goals on the calendar. So I always time block my dance classes on the calendar. They are as important as my client calls for me. So I always put the weekly dates I go on with my husband on my calendar, so that my team doesn't give that time for something else. So having goals in all the areas and putting them on the calendar helps me to stay balanced.
How much professional development have you invested in yourself?
In the beginning, I used to attend a lot of conferences that I think helped me immensely. Like if there is a Tony Robbins conference, I would be the first to sign up, things like that. That has helped me a lot. In the last few years, I have started working on business coaches and mentors on a one-on-one capacity. That has also been very useful, because it's not just general advice, it's tailor-made advice for me, and they hold me accountable. So that is also an important investment I've been doing.
Yeah, on mentors and coaches, what areas have they been honing in on to help you with?
Yeah, so some of them have helped me in terms of my product positioning, the way I'm positioning the business, because it's important to, though, because I'm not living in the country where I'm selling, it's important to get somebody's perspective who's selling to the same audience. So that has really helped me to increase my pricing, to instead of selling these small little services, to bundle them and to offer them as packages. So, and I did not have the mindset to do that. I was thinking, oh my God, will people perceive me as expensive? But my coaches have helped me to understand that no, I mean, people who see the value in what I'm offering, they're not going to think twice before investing that money. So positioning, pricing, and the mindset have been the main areas where I needed coaching.
Do you have a board of directors or advisors?
Not yet. I have informally had some of my previous mentors as my advisors. But since you asked me this question, I'm going to really think about how to set this up, because all the good companies that I have seen have a board of directors.
I've written a couple of LinkedIn articles on how to put a board together. I'll shoot those through to you.
That would be great.
All right, Jyotsna, we're on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
The hardest thing in growing a small business is the entrepreneur's mindset that I'm running a small business.
Yep. favorite business book which has helped you the most?
A couple of years back, I read this amazing book called Profit First.
Mike
That helped.
McCallowich.
Yes, exactly. That has helped me understand that my business is not a charity. I need to allocate profits first before spending on the other expenses.
Yeah, I've just finished his book Clockwork, which I didn't really enjoy, but Profit First is on my Spotify list as well, so that won't be far off. I'll get to that.
Sure.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools used for your own professional development?
I've been listening to the Mel Robbins show lately.
What's her area? What is she?
So she became famous with this 5-second rule, where she says like, you count down from 5 to 1,
Yeah.
and immediately you'll be able to take action, whether it's to get out of your bed or to record something that you've been procrastinating. So I discovered her through the 5-second rule, but her podcast it covers a lot of different areas in terms of personal development.
Oh, great.
And sometimes, when you hear a message from a particular person, you tend to resonate with it and you tend to take action.
Yep.
So she's somebody that I connect with, and I've been listening to her episodes.
One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
I think one thing that has helped me is a simple spreadsheet where I can track my expenses and income. I didn't do that for a long time. It's such a basic thing, but I feel like me, there could be a lot of entrepreneurs who don't do that, thinking, oh, it's a small business. I know how much I'm making. I know how much I'm spending. But tracking it is very important. And you can have fancy tools to do that, but just get started with this Google spreadsheet first.
Finally, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out 9 years ago?
I would tell myself that I can grow my business the way I want. There is no one rule or one metric to tell you that you're a successful entrepreneur. Each person's season of life is different. What they want out of life is different. So you can set your own rules for your business and grow it the way you want.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your time today, Jyotsna. I've really enjoyed our chat. Congratulations to you and the team on the growth over the last 9 years, and especially finding that happy balance, making sure business not encroaching too much on your life with your family. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Troy. I loved all your questions, and thank you so much once again.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Please leave a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. It means more small business owners will find our cast and help people with their business growth journey.